Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Putri Wulandari from class E. My NIM number is 11950300180. In this video, I will give a conclusion regarding the video of Syekh Yasir Qodhi, entitled Reconciling Between Reason and Revelation and the Role of Intellect in Islam. In the video, Syekh Yasir Qodhi said that the very first revelation that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala sent down is Iqra. And Iqra of course means to read, to explore, to learn more, and the purpose of the first revelation to our Prophet Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was to tell him that Allah would give him knowledge directly. Iqra bismi rabbik, read or recite directly from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And in the same series that Allah revealed, Iqra is repeated twice if you look at it. Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq, and then the few ayat later, Iqra wa rabbukal akram. Twice Iqra is said, and some scholars have said that the purpose of the repetition is that the first Iqra is a reference to the Islamic sciences. Why? Because it is linked with the knowledge from Allah, Iqra bismi rabbik, and the second Iqra is a reference to the secular sciences that we derive. Why? Because right after that Allah says Iqra wa rabbukal akram, allazi allamal bil qalam, the one who will taught by the pen. And what do we read by the pen? So Allah is telling us to learn first knowledge of the religion and learn second the knowledge of this world. When we had religion, we also had science. When we had deen, we also had dunya. When we had understanding of the religious text, we also encouraged chemistry and biology and medicine and astronomy. In Arabic, the intellect is called akal. Our intellect or our akal in Arabic, our akal is what Allah has blessed us with above the animals. No question about it. The animals don't have the type of intellect we do. When many people think that the intellect should be what ranks supreme, if our rational thought says something to be true, we don't care what the religious texts say. We don't care the Qur'an says. We don't care what Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says. Rather, our intellect should hold supreme over the Qur'an. And this no doubt is something that we as Muslim would disagree with. So then the flip side of the point is somebody will say, so are you saying that Islam is not compatible with the intellect, that Islam is intellectually challenged that things that the rational mind says to be true? The reason for this is we are living in such a ultra-scientific era that if science cannot prove it, then it's not something that is a fact. And that's why, for example, atheism is on the rise because scientifically you cannot prove God. But this is not a limitation on God. It is a limitation of science because science has a role. Science has a function. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala exists. This is beyond a shadow of a doubt. Because science cannot prove it, many people doubt his existence. So let us look at the Quran and Sunnah, and let us see how there's Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala describe the thought process. What does Allah say about the akal? What does Allah say to think, to reflect and ponder? And we all know that the concept of thinking and the concept of pondering is mentioned in the Quran. Literally hundreds of times, the word takilun, the word tazakkarun, the word tatafakkarun. I have come basically to four broad categories of when Allah asks us to think. The first category, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala challenges those who do not believe in Him. Atheists, agnostics, disbelievers. Allah challenges them to think, come to the logical and rational conclusion that there is only one God, and that God is worthy of being worshipped. This is the bulk of the times in the Quran that Allah challenges mankind to think. Allah tells us in the Quran that don't you look at your own selves. I want to make tatapakkarun bi anfusihim. Look at your bodies, examine your anatomy, examine your own system inside of you. Don't they see verily no other being could have created this other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Allah challenges us to think about the creation. Allah challenges us to think about the world around us and then says, doesn't it make sense that all of this perfection and harmony has one creator? So this is the bulk of the verses in the Quran about human intellect. And that is to challenge people who don't believe in God, or people who don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 2, the second category of verses when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala challenges us to think is to examine the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and come to the conclusion that he is a true prophet. This is the second category of verses. Look at lifestyle. Look at his lifestyle. What motivates this man to preach what he's preaching? Did he want money? For sure, he didn't look at his lifestyle. Did he want fame? If he wanted fame, he would not be preaching the most unpopular message in Mecca. Did he want power? No, he didn't. Because when the Quraysh came and said, we'll make you our king if you give up this message, he said, no, I cannot. Some of the Quranic stories about Jesus Christ, we know that Jesus never died in the first place. He is still alive, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will save him, as we know from the plotting of his enemies. It is amazing that there are stories in the Quran about Jesus Christ that Christians did not know until recently. The third point, when Allah challenges us to ask our intellect, is to increase our iman. Point number 3 is the same as point number 1, except that point number 1 is for non-Muslim to believe. Point number 3 for believers to increase their belief. The final point, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala challenges us to use our brains, to use our mind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to derive the meanings, the Quran and Sunnah. Allah says in the Quran, we have revealed the Quran in simple Arabic language so that they can understand. So Muslims use their intellect to study the Quran, to study the Sunnah of Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to derive how do we worship Allah. The purpose of the human intellect for the Muslim is to increase his iman and to study the Quran. The purpose of intellect for the non-Muslim is to realize the beauty of perfection of Islam. In Islam, akal means to be a good worshipper of Allah. If you are a worshipper of Allah, you are akal, you are smart. The purpose of akal is to recognize the truth. For the non-Muslim, the purpose of the intellect is to be guided to Islam, and for the Muslim, the purpose of the intellect is to understand Islam. We conclude that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, created our intellect amongst us, and He has also revealed our scriptures, and the two of them are meant to be used in harmony. And when we use our intellect to believe in the Quran and to understand the Quran, we are using it in complete harmony. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with the firm intellect and with an iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Akhirul kalam, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.